On over to Tammy for our Capitol report.
All right, thank you, Matt. With just minutes to spare, lawmakers ended this legislative session, as you know, with a $6.8 billion budget. And Pat McGuigan is here with some analysis on the week. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Happy holiday. Love your tie.
Thank you.
Couldn't be more fitting. Not a very professional term, Pat, but everyone's saying this was, and I know you agree, a wild week at the Capitol.
It really was a wild week. You had two really significant things. Legislators increased spending somewhere between $200 million and $331 million by the time the details are all out. That's big news. But the biggest news of the year, without a doubt, is that the legislature did not pass any form of income tax cut.
That came as a surprise to a lot of people with this Republican governor.
Yeah, and the $331 million in increased state government spending was not a non-surprise. The flip side to it is, in terms of spending, three bond issues that people thought had pretty good prospects, the leading one without a doubt being the Indian Cultural Center, did not happen. Now, it's possible they'll come back on that next year, at least on the state capital bond. And they might be able to avoid doing a bond because they're going to have $500 million in additional or new revenue estimated.
So winners?
Oh boy, the winners are the state chamber, which wanted the status quo. They supported one of the versions of the tax cut, the least dramatic. Oklahoma Policy Institute, liberal think tank out of Tulsa, definitely a winner. House Democrats stayed unified, worked very effectively, and then in league with some Republicans managed to slow down the momentum on a lot of things, including the tax cut. The permanent government, state agencies. State agencies are winners simply because they're not going to take any further budget cuts, and in fact some of them are getting money restored. And finally, I guess you could say it's not a person or a thing, but you could say the status quo. The status quo in Oklahoma was the victor this year.
You mentioned some losers already. The state capitol, not going to, no bond there to fix a crumbling state capitol, at least not yet. And again, the Native American Cultural Center not getting that $40 million match they were looking for.
Yeah, and the other losers, I'm not using the term to say they are losers. I'm using the term to describe they lost a really big argument this year.
They lost this round.
They being the Republican Party, the governor, and legislative Republicans. It was crystal clear to everybody there was going to be a tax cut of some kind, even to opponents of it. But that's not what happened. I would have to say that the Oklahoma Council of Public Affairs must be disappointed for having worked as closely as they did with Republicans and having such a colossal failure at the end of the session. Finally, I argue that taxpayers might be the losers, because if this legislature was not the one to right-size government, which one is?
We know a lot of people would agree with that. Taxpayers not getting that refund. I've been in your office, so I know you're in the middle of all of it at the state capitol. So it is a pleasure to have you here and your perspective.
Thank you.
Pat, thank you. We'll have more coverage at the end of the legislative session coming up, and your vote counts. But first...